So the first thing we're going to do is to adjust the camera position. So we have an idea of the areas that we are going to be working on. So we'll go to here to photo. Here I can navigate around to select the position I want. So let's say I want something like this. I just click here to start the camera position. But you see that the lines are all like going up to just one direction. It doesn't look quite nice. So I'll go to Add Effect, Camera, and 2-point perspective. Okay, see the difference? Much better now. So I want something more, here actually it's 15mm, it's too wide. I'm gonna put it like maybe 21. I'm gonna move further back and a little bit higher. Okay, more or less. Actually a little bit in the back. Yeah, I think like this is okay. So let's start. But if in the beginning of the video, you saw that I don't have all of this here, right? I just have a little bit from here until this side. So what I will do, I can crop this in Photoshop or any other image editor, but to have an idea of what I'm working on, I'll go here to FX and let's go to Various, the last one, the last tab, and Image Overlay. So what we'll do now is I'm going to select the file that I provided here in this files, and we have one called Overlays. And let's select this image. And you see, now we have already our aspect ratio that we want to work. So like this, I think it's fine. Just a little bit to more, let's see, more like this. I think this is good. Let's start the camera. And now we can start adding other effects. As I said before, I'm not going to use any of the real skies or any specific thing that is just in Lumion 9. So you can also follow along if you have an older version of Lumion. So let's start with Add Effect. And also I like to use the sun effect because you have more control of how you have the light. Okay, I know that there's also tricks that you can, for example, if you use real skies, let's say you're going to use this image, and basically you just have this sun position, right? You can control the brightness, but you cannot control anything else except the heading of the sun, right? Well, not really. If you use the sun on top of it, you see that now you can control it, okay? But the thing is that if you go here to FX, you'll see that we have one, and over there another sun. So this might create double shadows, and we don't want that. So let me go back and let me remove these real skies. Okay, and now we have the sun. So for the sun position, I want it to be like a clear daytime, and let's say I want this 04. It's fine. The heading, well, actually the heading was quite nice like this, and the sun brightness I'm going to decrease it a little bit to maybe 05, and we'll just render one photo to see how this is looking. And I like to create here a folder called renders, and on these renders I will create one called 01 and save. Okay, awesome. We have our building ready. So let's start by adding now shadow effect. So on this shadow, we'll put the maximum to the sun range. Coloring, we will decrease a little bit. I will explain this later. And this brightness of the shadow, so how bright the shadows are, see? So we don't want them too bright, so let's leave it more or less here. This omni shadow, it's basically the ambient occlusion. You don't want it to be too much as well, because then all the corners of the building will be super dark and will not be realistic. So let's leave it how it is right now. And here we'll activate soft shadows, okay, and fine detail shadows. Let's go back And let's add some more. Let's add the reflection. On the reflection, we're not going to do anything except activating the speed ray reflections. Okay, and go back, because the reflection, if we start adding the reflections right now, it will be very heavy here on this screen, and we still need to work a lot on this, so we want to be fast. Okay, so now let's add the skylight. And so the skylight is basically the GI, okay, it creates this little bit global illumination effect coming from the sky. And I will increase this to the maximum, and I will activate this too, and this I will leave in high for now, because if I put in ultra it will slow, as you can see here, it will slow the render speed, and we don't want that because we are still in the testing phase. Now let's add another effect. I'll add the hyperlight. Hyperlight, as you can see here, it will create a little bit of this global illumination effect as well. So where all the light, for example, you can see clearly in this preview image, the light is hitting this red thing, right? And so it's propagating around this wall as well. It's bouncing the light around. So in here you can define how many times you want this light to bounce around. So for this purpose of this render, I will leave it as default, it's good. And global illumination I don't need. This one is mostly when you have artificial lighting, so we don't need that right now. Now let's go to add another effect, which will be here, sky and clouds. Okay, so sky and clouds, I don't want almost anything, low clouds, nothing, because I want a real clear blue sky. And cloud brightness doesn't matter. Sky brightness, I think for sky brightness I'll add this a little bit more like this, and I think it's okay, like this, it's fine. Now let's move on. We'll add a fog effect, but not right now. I'll explain later. When I have some background elements, you will see how this makes it look more realistic, our render. So now let's add a color correction. Okay, go to colors, color correction. Here we can increase this a little bit more. Brightness we can decrease a little bit, make it more contrast to the image. Limit low, it will make our darker areas of the image darker, so let's make it a little bit more as well. And a sharpen effect as well. I like to put this around 0.5, okay, so it's not like too much exaggerated, just around here, it's okay. And an exposure effect. Okay, let's leave this here, and let's make another test render. Okay, so for this one, let's call it 0.2. So we have all the versions of what we were doing. Okay, you can see that it's way dark, the image. So what we need to do? We need to go first to the sun, and let's increase the sun brightness a little bit. And let's see how that makes a difference. I like to, for these tests that I'm making, I like to see what are the changes that this makes. Okay, so this one is still too dark. What we'll do, we'll go to here to exposure, and we'll increase the exposure like this. And let's take another render and see how it looks. Okay, it's looking much better now. Okay, so I think that wraps up for this lesson. In the next one, we'll start by adding some materials to our building.